Well, we have the great pleasure of having with us on the phone David Carr, the man behind the drums of Third Day. David, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and thanks for taking some time to be with us.
Well, I tell you, it's good to be here with you, virtually speaking, and glad to be coming back up to Syracuse. I think it's been a little while since we've been up there, so we're looking forward to it.
Well, it's great. We're really looking forward to hosting you and really all of Third Day here in Syracuse. That's going to be on Friday, August 7th at 7 p.m. at the North Syracuse Baptist Church, and it's going to be a great time. The community here is really starting to get excited, and there really is a buzz sort of around knowing that you guys are coming back.
We like when there's a little word of mouth going around and people are excited. That's excellent.
Yeah. Well, for those who know Third Day well and follow the band, they know that it was started by Mac Powell and Mark Lee way back in the 90s, and you yourself, you're an accomplished musician and have done quite a bit on your own, and spent a lot of time with Third Day also. How did you originally get started into music, and how did you end up joining the group?
Well, okay, so I grew up in a pretty artistic family. My mother is a really excellent painter. She paints and draws and anything in that creative realm, the visual creative art, she's pretty great at it. And so there was always like a little bit of a artistic thing I think that I got from her. And then my father was actually in radio for 30 years and on the air in Atlanta, Georgia. He was kind of a local celebrity. And so he kind of had the performing thing about him. And so he really encouraged me in the performance side, and my mother encouraged me in the artistic side. So put the two together, and it was a good combination. And I just, at about age 11, just one day heard my neighbor down the street playing his drum set. I didn't even know he had a drum set, and I was just like taken by it. And I said, I want to go play those drums. So they let me in. They let me go in their basement and kind of bang away on these drums. And man, I was hooked within about 3 seconds. I just was like, man, I got to do this. I want a drum set. And, asked my parents for a drum set for my birthday, and they got me this, basically a toy drum set, and I played that till it was literally unplayable. And then got a real drum set shortly after that, and then just started, banging away, learning just by ear, just listening to top 40 songs and just kind of, trying to figure out how to play them, and got decent at that, and then started playing in a couple of rock bands in high school. And then in 1992 I met Mac and Mark. They had just started Third Day that year, and they had just been doing some shows here and there in the Atlanta, Georgia area, kind of north of Atlanta, and they asked me if I would join the band after hearing me play a little bit, of course. And they asked me if I'd join, and man, it was like, it just felt like there was magic there, so, and here we are almost 23 years later, and still cranking away at it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it seems like one of those stories that just sort of happened, and then sort of the rest is history, at that point.
It's a lot of history. I mean, it's crazy because, I think when we first got it going and we felt like there was chemistry in the band, everybody was excited, but nobody thought, nobody was thinking 5 years down the road, much less 10, 15, 20 years and beyond that. I mean, so we're all just like, I always say there is so much icing on the cake that if it all ended tomorrow, it'd be sad, but it wouldn't be like, oh, well, that stinks, like we were just getting going. I mean, it's been incredible. It's been unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I noticed also online that you have a webpage that's called David Carr Photography, and that might be something that people may not know. There's some really interesting and creative shots that you have on there. How did that hobby come? I mean, in the middle of writing music, learning, playing concerts, practicing, touring, all that stuff. How did you find time to kind of to let this creativity develop?
Yeah, well, it's something that started about 3 years ago for me. And I've always kind of enjoyed the idea of photography. I just didn't really know how to do it. And quite honestly, I mean, I'm a kind of a techie kind of guy. I'm into kind of nerdy tech kind of stuff. And so I was just as excited about getting a nice camera as I was about learning how to use it. So, but I got this camera, and kind of pleaded with my wife to give me the green light on it. And and I said, look, if I get this, I'm going to learn how to use it, like for real. I'm not going to put it in automatic mode and just take pictures, of my kids. I want to like learn how to do this. And so I just endeavored to do that, and got in good with some online classes and stuff like that. And, I get I have a lot of spare time. I mean, all of us on the road really do. I've got all day until we play a concert, and I'm like, well, that's a great time to learn something, to practice a hobby. And so I'll just go out while we're on the road. I'll just go out in different towns we're in and take pictures of whatever or whoever I find interesting, and I've learned how to do it, And I'm nowhere near accomplished. I don't know that anyone ever fully arrives at that, but it's been a really rewarding hobby for me. And yeah, I mean, my site is davidcarr.com, simply just davidcarr.com, and you can go there and kind of see some of the stuff I've shot. And I'm really selective. I try not to overdo it. I don't want to overwhelm people with 500 pictures to look at. It's only the best of the best.
Well, it's certainly something that's a sort of a different angle on what people may normally see you, doing, and it's really great.
Yeah, it's been really rewarding, and there are a lot of similarities with songs and with photographs, because you have to grab people's attention. You got to tell them, you got to make it clear what you're trying to say in a song, and we try to do that in Third Day, and in photography, I try to make it pretty clear. This is the picture. This is what I'm trying to show you. It's just been a great way to express more of the visual side of my artistry.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, obviously the music side, people know you very well. And for those who follow Christian music, obviously, as we've been talking, Third Day has been around for, 20 plus years. And over that span has been a very influential force in the development of Christian music through the years. When you look at Third Day and, what you guys do day in and day out, do you see yourselves as a kind of a change agent in the industry and potentially even beyond that?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question. I think, yes, I think we've definitely contributed to taking Christian music to a place where maybe no one had taken it before. It's not to say that there weren't rock bands and that there weren't, bands that just kind of really put as much emphasis on the music as they do the lyrics. But we just kind of had this sound, early on that was fresh for Christian music. There just wasn't anybody else doing it. And I think because we were living on the inside of that, we didn't fully understand. It's kind of funny because we thought we were pretty good as a band, but I never like thought, it was that special. And that may sound weird to say, but like, I've always been surprised and amazed at how well it's been received. I know Mac has like an amazing voice, and he is pretty much he's kind of he is the voice of Third Day, and he's the thing that's the most recognizable. And I was like, if we have anything going for us, it's that more than anything else. But it's there's a lot of great talent in this industry, and I guess we just fill a niche that just wasn't filled, and it's sort of a thing that we we've just tried to continue to be who we are and change how we do it from time to time, but just still keep that same thread of Third Day throughout. And I guess it really has been an influencer on a lot of bands. We're really humbled that that's the case,
Well, you certainly have had a lot of success, not just in the Christian music world, where I think you guys have been nominated for something like 40 Dove Awards and have won, I think, 24 of them, but also in mainstream music. Also, with albums and songs, you've been listed in the Billboard 200 very consistently, nominated for, I think, 11 Grammy Awards, and you won 4 of them. From our perspective, from the listener or the fan's perspective, it's easy to kind of get caught up in the accolades and the awards. How do you handle all of the great success that has come your way?
We've been positioned really well as men to be surrounded by good people that they love us. They're happy for us. They're proud of Third Day, but they're not bowing down to us and acting like we're the greatest thing. They're real friends. I have real friends that ask me real questions and challenge me, and I can ask them questions and challenge them, and have a relationship that's so much deeper than just somebody being a fan and sort of gloating over everything you do. we surround ourselves with people like that, and then we're all married and with kids, and that's not easy. I mean, anybody that's married, anybody that has kids, it's not easy. It's work, and it's struggle, and yet it's joyful and wonderful and beautiful, and it's all these things mixed up. But that keeps me, I think, a little. If anything keeps me humble, it's that more than anything else. I mean, and that I would say it's God is doing that through these people in my life and in our lives. And I pray that we stay humble. I want to be humble. I don't want to be. I don't want any of us to be take ourselves so seriously that we think we're all that. Because I know that there are tons of musicians out there that are way better than we are, and we've just been fortunate to have a chemistry and just a certain thing that just for whatever reason it has worked, and we really try to hold that lightly and just be thankful for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the success that you've had, I'm sure that you've found yourself in places and situations that you wouldn't otherwise have been able to be in, and with that level of visibility, you would have a much greater platform from which to speak into people's lives, into their situations. How have you been able to leverage that?
I mean, I think we're just, I don't know, that we've been given this platform to be on, and this sort of mantle of responsibility, and it's funny because a lot of that stuff, you're not even thinking about that when you first start a band and start writing songs together. You're just like, hey, let's get together, man. My friend has a guitar, and I've got this drum kit, and I can borrow this amp, and I mean, you're just like, you're piecing it all together just to make music because it's fun. And then when it starts to actually go somewhere, it's like all of a sudden you've got to be a PR person, you have to have a marketing mind, and you have to have a business mind, and it all of a sudden becomes like a real job. And I think we've just been fortunate to have so much handed to us. I mean, we have worked hard as a band, but we have not had to work nearly as hard as a lot of bands and a lot of artists who only get to enjoy, maybe 1/100th of what we've been able to enjoy as far as the experiences and the fruit of our labor. And again, I say all that just to say I'm truly grateful and honestly humbled that we've been, especially to be doing it for 23 years. That just blows my mind. So.
Well, it's definitely a long-term impact there. So the latest album, Lead Us Back, it's your 12th studio album, not counting live albums and compilations and Christmas albums and stuff like that. And it's a worship album, and it's been probably, 11 or 12 years since the last time you guys released the worship album. What was the thought and motivation for this album, specifically being a worship-focused album?
Well, that's a great question, because we've actually been talking about it for a number of years. I mean, every time we go back to the drawing board to start writing a new album, it's like, well, maybe we should do a worship album. And, that's been discussed many times, but we just never felt like it was, up until now, the right direction just yet. We knew that we would end up doing another worship album at some point, but it just felt like a little bit opportunistic. The worship thing is a huge movement. It's a huge market. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of things to a lot of opportunity and a lot of bandwagons to jump on in that realm. And we don't want to be so opportunistic about something that's as pure as worship, and that's not to say that the non-worship albums, quote unquote, that we've made, that we've had a different motivation, but there's something really sacred and special about saying we're going to sing songs to God the Father, and trying to encourage our fans to do the same thing as they listen to this album, as they come to the concert. And we just wanted it to be the right time, and for whatever reason, this just felt like a yes. I think there was a collective yes in all of us that said, yeah, we're ready to do this. Let's. We'd been putting it off, and we had several albums that were just kind of more like the third day rock thing. And yes, every one of our albums had like a worship element here and there, but we really just felt that this season was one that needed to celebrate that aspect of what we do. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I think it's something that, you want, that the timing is important, and it sounds like God was leading you all through the process over time, and then it seemed like this was the right time for this to come out.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of times it's easy to say something was the right time when it works out. It's when things don't work out the way you wanted them to that you go, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But and we've said that, I think, at times. We've made albums and thought later on, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that, or maybe we shouldn't have done this. But then, sure enough, you get that testimony from somebody that says, man, that song on that album just totally just hit me so hard, and it like met me in a place where I really needed to hear it. And it'll be the song that we all question whether it should have been on the album. So it's, there's so much that doesn't return void. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, God is good. God is good, and it'll be a good time. So, well, we're really looking forward to seeing you with the whole band with Third Day. That's Friday, August 7th at 7 p.m. at North Syracuse Baptist Church. How can we follow you online? You mentioned your webpage, davidcarr.com. Are there other ways that we could follow you personally and the band also?
Yes, I mean, if you look at our Twitter page, and I think it's just at Third Day, and then my Twitter is at davidcarr3d, the number 3, the letter D. And I don't get on there a whole lot, but you might see me on Facebook from time to time, and then you might see me on Instagram, just some of the social media outlets. And I have these huge aspirations to blog a lot on my website, and I have yet to really keep up with that. So don't look for that anytime soon.
Okay. All right. Well, David, really appreciate your time. Looking forward to see you, and take care until you come back to Syracuse.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We'll see you guys soon.